Well, in this video, I'm going to take a real cheap Hornby Railroad teak coach and turn it into a super detailed teak coach, just like this one. Stay tuned and all will be revealed. Well, good afternoon everyone and welcome back to Piccadilly Sidings. So as I said in the introduction, I'm going to be taking one of these standard Hornby Railroad teak coaches, which seem to have been around for many years, and super detail it in my opinion. Now, before I say anything else, show you what I've done and how I've gone about doing it, I do want to say the level of detail that we choose to put on our layout is entirely up to our each individual cells. So if you're more than happy to run the coaches as they are out of the box, that's absolutely fine. It's your layout, it's your rules. You do exactly what you want to do. So I personally prefer to have something a little bit more detailed on the layout as far as possible. But I'm certainly not going to be paying £60 odd plus for one coach. And I think many people in the comments, when I said that in my last video or previous video, agree with me on that. But it's obviously down to your choice. If you've got the money and you're happy to pay it, then it's up to you, you know. But anyway, what have I done to this particular coach? And what am I going to do to this one? So first thing you'll notice is that I flush glazed it. And I've done that both sides, all the windows are done. It might not be the best flush glazing job in the world, and there are tiny glue marks there, but at the end of the day, it's a little bit more convincing. Me personally, I'm not happy with the ridges that are in these windows here, and I will try to avoid that as much as possible. But again, as I said before, if you're happy with it, it's absolutely fine. So let's turn to the ends of the coach, first of all. And you will notice there are a few things that have changed here. First of all, there is a door in there now. And obviously, yes, there is a door here, but we've got these two, I don't know whether they're windows or what, but I can't find any evidence whatsoever of those holes being there. So I've 3D printed a part there to go over the top. And I've also 3D printed the end as well. You'll notice that looks very different. On top here, you might just about pick out there is like a covering piece over there, whereas again on that one it's just not there. I've altered the bogie or the buffers, so they are now round with the tops cut off as they are on the real things as far as I can tell. And I've also removed this moulding here, which is a piece of wire, and I've now glued that in. Okay, and I'll show you all that shortly. You'll probably be able to make out that I've fully painted the interior, and I have done the other side. I've painted all the compartments as well, but whether you can see in there is another matter. The light seems to be glaring a bit, but these seats here, or these ones here, the first class seem to be blue, and these ones here seem to be red. I've seen people where they've gone ahead and actually replaced the seats and put, there's like a mirror headboard above with some pictures there. I was thinking about doing all that, but to be honest with you, you can barely see inside there at the moment, so I'll have a think about it, but it's potentially something for the future if we decide to go there. And the last thing that I want to show you is as well, there is a battery box on the bottom too, and I've also moulded, I'm not sure quite what that is, but that little round thing there, whether it's some kind of battery or I don't know what it is, compressor or something, I've no idea, but maybe somebody who knows. So that's where we're going. So first job that I'm going to do is to colour the sides, and I will show you what I'm going to use, which is going to be some of this Citadel Seraphim Sepia by Games Workshop, and it is amazing stuff. I highly recommend it, but I'm not going to make you sit through watching me do all of that. What I am going to do is refer you to Dragon Junction MK2. He goes through the whole process of not only taking the coach apart, but what to look out for when you're painting it, how many coats to put on, all of that sort of stuff. So just take a look at Alan's video and that will be all there. Okay. Right, welcome back. Now, just before I go ahead and actually apply the paint myself, I do want to deal with these little mouldings for the wires coming out here. Now, obviously very carefully with the scalpel or knife, whatever you might choose to use. I'm just going to snip through the two places at the ends. So I don't want to destroy that moulding line going down there. And then very carefully, with the work still on the bench, I'm holding it quite firm, I'm going to slither the moulding line under with the scalpel. I'm just trying to get underneath it, if you like. Just remove it. I'm not worried too much if it's not absolutely perfect, because the ends of the coach wouldn't have been, but there you go. So the moulding line is pretty much gone. So I'll do that with all of these other three pieces. And then all right, welcome back. So as you can see, I've now done that particular coach. That's had 3 coats, and obviously it's still wet and drying as well. But to turn my attention now to the chassis. So you can see I've just removed the chassis as it is. Now, there's a couple of things I want to do to this. First of all, I need to cut off the buffers. So very, very carefully with the scalpel. Just very gently use a bit of a scissor action over all of those and just press your way through. There we go. And a little bit of a file on the end of that, just to make sure it's flat and square, ready to take the new buffer as when you're ready to put that on. So I will go ahead and cut these off shortly, but I'll go on to the next bit, which is to remove all of this section here. And you might be thinking, well, why am I removing detail? And the reason for that is because I've got this battery box. These pieces will be glued to the side of it, both sides, and obviously that bit will get glued to the end as well, like that. But the first bit, very carefully again, as I've done before, and I'll just give you the flavour of what I'm doing. I'm literally just scraping over the scalpel, just removing the top surface like so, and then oops and then I'm going to go in with the file and just make it all nice and flat. All right, so as such. Okay, I'll catch you. Okay, I've gone ahead and glued the 2 sides onto that cuboid shape I made there, and put this cylindry thing on there. And as you can see, I've filed away all that section in the middle, and I'm going to glue that in the middle bit between here and here, but also in the middle from that way as well. It is a little bit tricky to get it in the right place. There are these 2 little diagonally pieces, which are just pieces of plasticard or plasticard strip, which I should just cut off. Right, so I've measured the distance in there, and it appears to be about 7mm. So I'll show you one. So I'm just I'll put in the piece of plasticard up to the 7mm mark, cut it off like so. And then very carefully cut off a 45-degree angle. I'm just doing this bit by eye. I think if it was more critical, that it would look right, I would use some kind of jig or something like that. But there we go, that's the piece. Slot that in. Right, so you can see now I've painted up the chassis with a primer and also the interior just there. And now I'm going to give it a coat of that, okay, and some dark brown, which you can see just there, and probably some dabbings of that as well. This one is mainly going to be used down this running plate here, because obviously that is a dull brown orange colour, and then I should go over that with some black wash, but I'll show you. Right, welcome back. Now you can see I've got the end of the carriage, and I've also cut these tiny little bits of wire, and these are around 6-7 millimeters long. You can see them in the tweezers there. So what I've got on this piece of paper, you can see I've got some super glue. So I dip both ends in, try not to get it on the actual tweezers, and then put it in so it sticks. Put it in one end, hold it once it's got it, and then bring the other end in. Oh, I thought it got it. Just need to bend it a little bit. So there we go, you can see the wires that I've put in there now. So next stage then, we've got these doors which are going to slot in there, and then we've got these end bits which are going to go over the top. But there's also this like wrap bit which goes over the top of that. Now I did prepare these stickers for something else, but to be honest with you, that colour is way off, so I thought I might as well use that as part of this bit, and I'll just put a dab of glue on there as well just to help it stick. So let's get that in first. So I'm just going to put some super glue in there. There's 2 little dollops. Now the door, the horizontal bar of the door, I think it's got a name but I can't think of it, goes lower as opposed to higher. Okay, so I'll put that in. It did take a little bit of fiddling about getting these the right size, and I did the other one. I ended up printing about 6 or 7 of them to try and get it right. Just taking off like 0.1 of a mil or whatever it was. So that fits nicely in there like that, and you can see the colour's not too far off. It is a little bit off, but I can soon remedy that a little bit, it'll be fine. And then that bit goes over the top, which I'm just going to glue around. So I put a bit of super glue on, don't want a huge amount. So I want to try and get it central as well before the glue goes off. Sort of like that. I'm just lining it by eye just to make sure it is in the middle, and then press. And yeah. And also measure the halfway point on this bit. Now that's 23, so that means that's going to be 11.5, about there. So I'll peel that off and try and make it so it's flush with the front edge. Oops, it's tricky. So it's going to be that one, umbrella colour, and that one as I showed you earlier. So just giving this a little bit of a shake and trying not to go over. So that's probably about it really. So I'll get that done and get the other one done, and then we'll get them back on the coach. Sensibly put them on. But what I will do is start dirtying up this roof. Now I am going to use the black wash, which is, or the Null Oil, which is yeah, that one. Get it the right way around. I'm literally just going to let it run. It's not going to go for me, is it? It might be a case of doing it and then just giving it another a light spritzing just to get it to start falling. This looks horrendous at the moment. Just getting it to run over the different places, tipping it up in all different directions. Right, what I'll do is take a big brush, as I had before, and literally just give it like that. That'll get rid of the bubbles. Now if I give it another light, that's giving it a bit of a mottled effect, which I quite like actually. So I'll leave that. Well, what I will do is just mop that edge up. So all I'm doing is literally squeezing it out of my fingers. You can see it sucks it up. Like that. Actually, that's quite nice. Quite like that. Okay, so I've got all the parts now painted up, and there's only one more thing I'm going to do in the video after that, apart from reassembling, and I'll tell you what that is in a minute, but I'll just show you. So there's the interior, and yes, I know the blue is a little bit glossy, but to be honest with you, you can barely see inside anyway. I would go further and there's some mirrors and pictures up on the above the windows, above the seats here, I mean. I think unless I fit lights into the coaches, which I might do in the future, then I'm going to leave them as it is. I haven't got any people, by the way, so, you know, you might say to me, why haven't you put people in? Well, I can't put them in if I haven't got any, can I? So that's the way it goes, I'm afraid. But anyway, let's get this back together. So I've obviously got the weight, that goes in there first. And then that will clip in there along with that, and that sort of snaps back over the top. It's strange how these have different designs, isn't it? I mean, no, what I mean is some were glued in, some are not glued in, and you know, you don't know quite what you're gonna get. I think the more recent versions of these coaches, the specifically branded Hornby Railroad ones, they're all glued in, whereas, you know, this one just pops straight out. But I don't know, that's the way it goes. But that needs a bit of adjustment. I'll just go off cam and do that, and I'll come back. Right, there we go. So obviously you can see I've got it the right way around now. It's all nicely fixed on. So the corridor coaches, the windows go this end, the two ends on, and snaps on. Just make sure that those two clips are on at either end. The last thing I want to do is to make these buffers. So let's crack on with that. Now, to make the buffers, I've made one there out of card, and that's like a template. They seem to be round buffers, but have the top sliced off. Strange, I've never seen anything like it on anything else, but that's the way it is. So I don't know whether it's accurate in terms of size, but it looks about right. So I'm going to use standard hole punch. I've removed the plastic cover that goes on the bottom, and I'm literally just going to place the piece of plastic over the hole and literally just punch. So there's my first one, like that. Now, the only thing is that they do end up looking like a Pringle, if you know what I mean by that. So it is a case of, you know, we are going to have to do some manipulation afterwards. So what I'm going to propose to do with that is to put that in a pair of pliers and squeeze to get it. Putting this template on the top. In fact, if I do it like that, slice off that bit and there's my buffer, just there. All right, so there's my buffers made. So it literally is a case of dipping a piece of something into super glue and putting it on the end, just like that. Put it in the tweezers and place it on. Move it so it's central. So there it is. That's it so far. So what do I need to do? I need to flush glaze both sides, obviously. And I need to put the footsteps underneath each door. But I'm quite pleased with that. If I can get the light to shine a bit better, I might be able to make out what that is. Yeah, it's a little bit better there, isn't it? You can see. And the underside, you've got that battery box in there now as well, so I'm quite pleased with the way that's turned out. So yeah, it's definitely getting there, isn't it? So I'll just get that on the layout and you can see it running. So what's this news I promised you? Well, the 50's back. I'll pull her out and we'll have a look. Well, as you can see now, we've had a revised new fresh paint job. The one when I did, you might remember I got this a couple of years ago now at Christmas. And, well, you might remember the paint job on them wasn't that great, was it, from Hornby? The blue was very bright, let's put it like that. And this orange was too pale. And so that was almost very similar to the yellow on the end. But studying pictures of the real thing, I think I've got the colours pretty right this time. I hand painted a lot of this and it just looked, well, rubbish really. It looked awful. And I bought these transfers from Railtech and the nameplates as well, and you get the top bit as well, that little crest with those ones. They're transfers, 3D transfers. Whereas I did buy some nameplates and transfers from another well-known company, and when I first put them on, they were gold, and they stood out like a sore thumb. Now, these are not a perfect match on the colours I've got here, but you can see that they're considerably closer than gold. So I'm quite pleased with that. I'll just scan you around so you can see the other side. You can also see I've detailed at one end, and I had to 3D print those snow plows. The ones that came with it just didn't look quite right, so I ended up 3D printing that. And you can see, oops, sorry about that. And there is the other end. You can see now with the snowplow fitted. Now, I have seemed to have lost in the painting process, despite being very careful, I have lost the cable. The carpet monster's got it, and I left it on the windowsill, and drawing the curtains was enough to blow it off, but if I find it, I'll glue it back on, but otherwise it's trying to find another one in there, near impossible. But there we go, so that is a nice welcome return, and it is very lightly weathered, as you can see, just by a few bits of muck around the exhaust ports. So I'm quite pleased with the way that's turned out. Right, let's finish up. So there we go, there's one look at the coach I did prior to this video. So take it down there just so you can see. Have got the flashlight on, so that's why the light is seemingly moving down the carriage, and that's the one I've started. So as I said to you earlier on, all the buffers have been changed, the end corridors have been changed, there's been a battery box fitted, the wires at the end there have been added, all the interior has been painted, and it's now waiting for one or two other bits like the flush glazing, and also, if you haven't noticed, the door steps, which I'll show you on that one. So those ones have been added to that, which was, I realised halfway through the video, so I thought I'd just put them in. So there we go. And that one has been started, but not anywhere near what this one has. And obviously those ones at the end haven't even been begun yet. So they will get done in time. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and I will catch you again for part 2 of this, and hopefully the restaurant card too. All right, speak to you soon. Take care of yourself, and bye for now.